Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Firstly, I'd like to thank you all for attending our talk today on productive marketing with content management. It's a bit of a mouthful, but my name's Ian Norton. I'm Senior Web Architect at Alfresco. I've been there for just over 3 years now. So I started and we were running sort of the old Alfresco ABM product, and a lot's changed since then. Alfresco Cloud's come on, and I'm going to talk a little bit about all of that during my talk. But first of all, I'd like to welcome Aaron Heath from Saks Fifth Avenue. Aaron's application manager, development manager for Saks Fifth Avenue. It's a real privilege having him here today.
Thanks. Hi everyone.
And just a quick sort of intro. I was just speaking to him last night and reading the Saks case study, and I think the two things that really struck me from that is that firstly, it sounds like a really interesting sort of way they've solved their content problem, and Aaron's going to do a demo of that for us. But the business sort of drivers, the two solutions are quite different, I think, but the business sort of drivers behind them are that business users want to be able to manage things themselves. They don't want to have to sort of break out of those, have a separate process. They want to be able to do that all in an automated fashion, and with as few sort of human touch points as possible. Yep. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Aaron, and so take it away, Aaron.
Thanks, Ian. Hi, everybody. As Ian mentioned, I'm a manager of application development for Saks Fifth Avenue. I manage web content management system development. I've been with Saks a little over 3 years. I was hired to implement Alfresco as a web content management system. Prior to that, Saks used their e-commerce platform to manage not only product information and product content, but actually marketing content. So what I'm speaking about and what the content that I'm responsible for is marketing content. It's not the products, it's not the catalog, but it's actually the promotional content, like when you go to the home page, we're promoting products, the banners you see on the sites, the store information, like the address of the store, the events they're having, things like that. The goal was to pull that kind of content out of the e-commerce platform and into another system that would make it easier to make changes to it, to update to it, to give the ownership of it to the business. With the e-commerce platform, it could take hours to change an image. So say an image had a typo on it or something sold out. It would take hours. And IT was very involved in the process. If they had to change an image, sometimes the developers would have to go right into the code and change the image and then publish that code. Or they would have to make the change in the e-commerce platform and then publish the change to production, and that would take hours. So then one of the main goals was to get a system that took IT out of the picture as much as possible, put the ownership of the content in the business's hands, and allow just easier updates, basically, of the content. So one nice thing about Alfresco was it allowed us to implement Alfresco as a service, or content as a service, without changing the underlying systems that run the site. So I have a few slides here, but the main goal will just be to kind of show you guys an overview of some of the tools we have and the process, I guess, of how we set up a page. Just a little bit agenda, what I'm planning here. So I guess most of you probably are aware of Saks Fifth Avenue. We're currently, I'm responsible for the content on mostly Saks.com, which is the main e-commerce site, but we also have some content on the SaksOffFifth.com site, which is actually a brand new e-commerce site we just launched. We also have 2 mobile apps, iPad and an iPhone app. We also have a mobile optimized version of the Saks.com. All of these have the ability to use Alfresco. Because it's a service, basically they can call the same service. We actually have implemented most of our content services. We've implemented them as an API. So say we have a third party that may need Saks content, they can call the API. That's how our mobile apps are done today. We actually have a third party vendor that does the development of our mobile apps. But they just, because we have an API, just a way for them to call the services that we provide and get the content, and they can present the content how they deem fit. So as I mentioned already a little bit, before we had Alfresco at Saks, I mentioned a little bit about the e-commerce platform. That platform is Blue Martini. I think it's called Red Prairie now. It was acquired, but it's basically, it's very good for product catalog content and the shopping cart and customer data, you know, as you log in and deal with the purchasing of the products. But it's not so good at managing marketing content. So we have the concept of start and end dates for the content. Say we have a promotion that runs from a certain time. Well, we wanted to make it, it's always been kind of a concept at Saks to have it as automated as possible, like when this content is shown, but it was actually manipulated in the Java code prior to Alfresco, where say you'd wanted a banner that was promoting a specific sale to show at midnight. Well, it was actually in the Java code that had the dates, and it would determine which image to show at a certain time. So very, you know, error prone. If there was an issue with it, you'd have to go in and change the Java code. So really not the best way to handle start and end dates on the content. And as I mentioned before, it would take hours to update an image in production. Fast forward a little bit, with Alfresco, we're able to, as I mentioned before, empower business users to create, edit, and publish the content, reducing IT involvement. So because of this, we've actually been able to free up IT resources that used to be involved in doing some of these content changes I've mentioned. Now they can focus on other projects and, you know, be more efficient that way. Support start and end dates in the content. We use, with Alfresco, we use the effectivity aspect. It's just a way to add additional properties to our content, but it gives us the start and end date on all of our content. So we're able to, the users can tell us when certain content will be visible on the site, instead of manipulating the Java code. And update content within minutes. We do have several layers of caching, but really theoretically we could change content within minutes. The users have a workflow basically where the content can get approved. The approval process, as it's approved, it actually gets published to our production site. So we have an Alfresco instance in our authoring environment, our preview environment, and we have another Alfresco instance in production where we publish the content to production, and it's just all tied in with the workflow that the business users can approve the content. As it gets approved, it gets published. You know, without clearing the cache, it would take a few hours to see the change, but we've tied in some cache clearing steps that go along with this publishing, so really the content would be updated within 20 minutes or less without any IT involvement. And we were able to also serve personalized content. So it's, you know, kind of expected now, actually. Like they mentioned today in the keynote, personalized content or web experience management. Well, you know, Alfresco out of the box isn't really supporting the personalization, but we have a personalization engine, but we're able to tie that into our content easily and serve personalized content with Alfresco. So that brings me to my demo. I actually have a video of the demo, but I think I'm going to try to do it live a little bit, and if there's any glitches or something, any slow response times, then I'll just jump over to the video. I just want to show, I guess, how we use Alfresco to set up. I can show how we use it to set up the home page. So just to jump over here real quick, I will show our current homepage, just to kind of give a visual, you know, what we're going to build. So this is the current live SaksFifthAvenue.com homepage. We just redesigned this actually in May, so it's to be a more modular kind of a design, where we call each of these areas a module, and we have different types of modules that have different behavior. This module on the top is a hero module, but it's basically a slideshow. A hero module is one or more images. When it's more than one, it turns into a slideshow. We do personalization on this module, so we have different segments of customers. We've segmented groups: women's apparel, women's shoppers, shoes and handbag shoppers, and men's shoppers. That's the current groups we're using now, but we're able to, through our personalization engine, track the users, and if we determine that you may be more interested in shoes and handbags, the next time you come to the site, you will see shoes and handbags content first. This is a promo module here. It's just an image that's, you know, promoting events that are coming up. This is a featured module. The image on the left stays the same typically, and we have the ability to rotate through multiple images on the right. This is product recommendations. Actually, this is provided by a third party that actually does some tracking of your user's behavior on the site and determines, very similar to how Amazon does, products you may be interested in or other products similar to what you've looked at. This content actually doesn't come from Alfresco, but we have to have the ability to know how to position this module on the page. So we actually have this, a few different modules where actually it pulls in content from other systems, but Alfresco is still aware of this content, just more for positioning on the page. And then the last module, actually these are just hero modules with one image, but it looks like we have two down here. So one of the, I guess, use cases is at Saks was they didn't want to, the business doesn't want to be tied into one look and feel. They like to be able to freely kind of, experiment, try different things. Sometimes the competition, there's a lot of very fierce competition in the retail e-commerce world, and so sometimes we have to really, adapt quickly to our competition. So the business doesn't want to be stuck to one look and feel. So how we've gotten around that is with image maps. So in HTML, just kind of an old, it's probably been around since HTML1, image maps. It's the ability to have multiple links on an image. But because we wanted to support image maps on these images, we found it hard for us to give that control, the ability to create image maps within the share. We use the share primarily for the content gets like the creative department, our designers, they'll create these images. All of our photography on Saks.com is shot in-house. So the designers, they take the photos and they edit them and crop them and put them together and create the content, and then they'll upload that into Share. All of our content we use in Alfresco is custom content types. So we've defined all of these different types in our model, and then they have custom properties, basically. So in the Share, we would have a form that the users could fill out, but we kind of found that didn't really solve it was hard, and we wanted to give the users the best experience possible when editing this content. So we have actually created our own in-context editor, which I'm about to show. We actually call that the Slice tool. Slice stands for Saks Loves In-Context Editing. So it's our own version of our in-context editing tool, which I can show here. So this is a development website that I use. This image here, if you ever see it on Saks.com, it means something's wrong with Alfresco. It means something's not set up correctly, or something's missing, or maybe because it's a service, it's not running the entire website. We had to have a way to display something if something is wrong. So right now I don't have anything set up on this page, so that's why we're getting this image. And I went ahead and set some of this up ahead of time just to try to keep it flowing smoothly. So I am cutting out a few steps here, so if anybody has questions or wants to go through more detail, you can catch me after the session and I can go through it. But basically I've already uploaded some images and I've already set up a little bit of this. So I'm going to log into Alfresco first here, the Share. This is where the content starts for us. It's like, as I mentioned, the creative department will upload these images. And then somebody from the merchandising teams, they would go in and finish setting up the rest of the content. So we've divided the Share into, we basically have two sites that help us support this. Sites are kind of an organizational group for the content, so we can allow specific groups of users to have access to, let's say, one site and not the other. So we have our designers and creative team, they use the media site. So I have a media site here. And that's where they log in, upload the images, and that's where the content starts. So in the documents here, the document library for the media site, we basically have a folder for all the different kinds of content we support in Alfresco. Some of these folders are based on page type. Like I'm going to show you the home page. So we have MHP for main homepage. And these are the types of content that we can put on the homepage. We have these modules, and as I mentioned, most modules consist of images. So we have it broken down into images and modules. We're going to create a hero module for our homepage. So we basically have it broken down into module type. This is just kind of how the business wanted to work, where in Alfresco terms, we've created this content type that's for modules, but it's real, we try to keep it as generic as possible in case the business wants different behavior in the future, but we just needed a way to tell the front-end code what type of module it is so it knows how to just build it out and present it. In my hero folder here, you see I don't have any content, so I'm going to create a hero module to put on the homepage. So the way we have the share set up is a lot of rules. We have rules on every folder just about that will do things like enforce that the content within that folder is a specific type. So any content underneath this modules folder will automatically be transformed to the module type, which we've defined. So it will get the metadata that's associated with the module. And there's other rules on here that will add different behaviors. So really, I just have to create any type of content that's created under here will become a module. So I'm going to just create just some plain text, just selected plain text. And I'm going to call it hero module. So once this is created, as you'll see, I get additional metadata here, which these are the fields that we've defined to be part of a module. So if I want to edit this, I will see these properties. We actually don't show all of them on the editing form. The most important thing is images. I'm going to be able to associate images to this hero module. So I'm going to navigate to my homepage images and select some images here. Ideally, we'd be able to see thumbnails here. We're actually working on that. I didn't mention before, but we're actually using version 3.4 of Alfresco still. We're planning on upgrading to 4.2, I guess, would be around the beginning of the year, shortly after the holidays. So I've added 4 images here, and I just need to set the dates. As I mentioned, we have the ability to support start and end dates on all of our content. This is given to us by the effectivity aspect from Alfresco. We've added this ability to enforce the dates or not, because sometimes the business doesn't want to. So I've just added 4 images to this module, set the dates. I'm going to jump ahead here to another site, which is the pages. This is our structure of, I open it in another tab here, but this is the actual structure. So I had one site that was the media content, and that's where the images, videos, that kind of content gets uploaded into. And I have a second site here where the merchandising team has access to, and this is the actual structure of the site. These are the actual pages. So we have a content type that represents each of the possible pages that's on the Saks site. It's like a one-to-one mapping, basically, where we have it, for the homepage, it's easy. We have one homepage, so we create one item in Alfresco that represents the homepage. So I come in here to my main homepage folder. This is the item that represents the homepage. All of our pages have a unique page ID, and that's how they are returned. So there's web services on the website that call Alfresco and query Alfresco based on page ID. So hey, give me the page that has this ID and all of the content associated with it. So that's how that works. So now I just need to associate some content to the homepage. The only type of content I can associate to the homepage is are modules. So I have this association picker starting in the modules folder. I'm going to add my hero module and save that. And now I can come out here and refresh the page. So now we get our hero module up here with the images. I have a blank one there. Actually, I need to do one more thing. I have a blank image. I just want to show one more thing we can support. So we have the ability to, one of the requirements is we have to be able to support, sometimes we have to be able to support videos on top of these images. Video loops most of the time is maybe just a short video segment that's promoting the real video or something, a product video. We just want to show a little bit of it on the homepage, and if the user is interested in it, they can click on it and go get more information about that product or whatever the video is promoting. So one way we've given the ability to support images overlaid on these, videos overlaid on these images is we can associate videos to our images. So this here happens to be a blank or pretty much transparent image that I'm going to associate a video with. Well, it's not cooperating. All right. So I've just associated a video asset to that image, and we'll come back out here. Okay. So as you've seen, we have set up images, put them on the home page, but there's not much else done to it. We haven't done any linking. We haven't, if the order may not be right, we haven't really done anything else to this page. So now we need to finish editing it directly on the website. A lot of other web content management systems that are specifically for web content management, come with, a lot of users expect to be able to edit the content directly on the website. So how we did this is with our slice tool. So this site is as if it was our pre-production website. This tool is not available on our live site, but from our pre-production website, if the user, the key is Shift S, so capital S, will bring up this dialog. From here, I can log into Alfresco. This is actually a JavaScript application. Whoops, if I get my password right. Written in Backbone that calls it calls Alfresco web scripts to communicate with the Alfresco repository. So basically, it's called Alfresco, and it got the content structure from the home page, and that is showing up here on this menu. So now I can see that I have a hero module, and I can come over here and configure the actual items that are on that hero module. I don't know if I'm about out of time, so I'm going to jump first to the video. This is one of the cooler things. So this is my blank image. It's basically, you'll see, it's a transparent image. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the video that I associated to that image, and I'm going to make it full screen. So the video will be the size of that image. But then we needed to be able to put some kind of call to action. Like, we want the users to be able to say, click here to watch the video, or a little bit of information about the video. So the way we've done this is we have a transparent image that just has some text on it that promotes the video. So from our slice tool here, I have a few options here. We can set links. That's how we link the image. But we can set video too. And if there's a video associated to it, we will get it on this, this screen here. It gets a URL, like where it goes when you click on it. You can set the width and the height. We'll save that, let it reload here. And we have a full screen video with our text here. So we have this, we had this, be able to support this. Sometimes you might not want the image over the video. This time we did because it's a clear image, but we could click that and the image goes behind the video. So actually, a lot of these properties that we've defined within Alfresco, we've actually exposed to our slice tool here, so the users can edit it directly here. Content actions is where I'll save it. So I'll save my changes. It's posting those back to Alfresco. I'll refresh my page here, and we will see the video. I just want to show one more how we link these images. So I'm going to get the data up here, go to one of the other images. So some of the other things we can do to an image besides the video is we can set the segment, as I mentioned before, for personalization. So say we wanted to tag this image for our women's apparel shopper. So here I have the choices: women's apparel, shoes, handbags, or men's is what those choices are. I chose women's. And now I'm going to set the links. So actually this already has the links done. So I'm going to just save this one. I'm going to skip to one that doesn't have links done. So I just saved that as a women's apparel image, which meant if I was tracked as a women's apparel shopper, I would get that image first. Let me jump down here to another image and set the links. So when I click Set Links, and I get a copy of the image here. And now, say, as I mentioned before, we have image maps. That's a way to have multiple links on this one image. All I have to do is draw, and I get this dialog box of what type of link I want. So we have a few different links. Like a standard link would just be going to a different page. But say I wanted a second link that links to a product. Then I would say quick look. That's kind of a DHTML layer that opens up with our product information. The alt text we want, and now the product number. We'll save this. And we can come out here to our Content Actions tab, and we can actually preview these. And they'll open in an additional tab. So that one I actually had linked to the home page. That looks good. I should have my product over here. Opens up the product. Doesn't have to be the same product, but if I had that product number, I could have gotten that. It looks good to me, so I can come down here and I can save changes. Again, it posts that back to Alfresco, and I could refresh. So it's just a little bit of kind of how we've been able to have Alfresco help with manage web content and actually edit it directly on the website. Some of this is a little technical, and we had to develop it in-house, but it was actually because of how open Alfresco is and easy to extend. If it doesn't do what you need right out of the box or doesn't do what you need with some of the applications it comes with, it's actually fairly easy to create an application that does what you need. We have the ability to sort these images. We can sort the modules on the page. Say I could sort these. The resolution's a little bit off, but just by dragging these around, I could say save the order. But that's basically it. Save that. So I know I'm probably about out of time. I have some other modules already set up. So I want to show you how easy. You saw how easy it was to set up that one, the first module there. Well, I have a few other of the other types that I can just add to this home page. So I'm just going through the different modules that I have. Product recommends, promo, social. It's a brand new one that pulls in social content from the different channels that Saks participates in. So I just added one of the other, each of the other module types that we support to this page, and I'll refresh it, and there they are. So this is our featured module with rotating through here. With the slice tool, I can also change the order of these. There's our product recommends, and here's our latest social circle. So that's about it. In a nutshell, I could go much deeper, but that's how we're doing things today with Alfresco.
That's great, Aaron. Thank you very much. Can we have a round of applause, please, for Aaron? Thank you.
Thank you.
Would you like to field questions now, or do you want to do it as a joint session?
I don't want to take time away from your...
Okay, it shouldn't take me too long to run through mine. I've got a quick sort of, about marketing and how we sort of structure things for our website. So I'm going to run through that quite quickly. There's a very quick demo at the end, and just talk about collaboration. So if you just give me a couple of seconds, just plug my laptop in.
Yep, sure.
Thank you.
Do you want me to switch? Would you run this one?
Yeah, that would be great. While I'm off the mic, you have to excuse me for jumping up in the air. I keep getting static attacks, so... Okay, so great. So I'm going to talk off. I'm going to kick off just with a brief chat about collaboration and how we use Alfresco to collaborate. Alfresco.com is quite a diverse place to work, and we've got people. I'm that little dot in the middle of the United Kingdom. We've got people based just in London, just outside of London. We've got people based as far away as Tokyo and San Mateo, and all the bits to the left and the right and in between. And so we've got people all dotted around the globe. So we really need like a quick and easy way to sort of collate feedback on things and to sort of move projects forward, and considering especially where the web's concerned. So we started using Alfresco Cloud to do a lot of this. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about that, how we collaborate first and how we use that as part of our sort of web strategy now. So just a sort of really brief, quick introduction. So alfresco.com, we recently changed the homepage. I don't know whether anyone noticed that. But it's about probably 3 or 4 weeks ago now. And it wasn't a massive overhaul. It was just a rejiggery of content and moving things around a little bit, trying to make it a bit more, bit cleaner and a bit more friendly for people. So there's a challenge there. We need to change our homepage. So we've got 2 designers that work for us. They're both external to the company. They're not employed directly by Alfresco. They're freelancers. One's based in Atlanta, Georgia, and the other one's based just outside of London. So neither of them are sort of in our internal systems. We have an intranet site which runs Alfresco Share, and that's where we do most of our work. But being external people, they're not, they don't have access to that, and we've got a lot of confidential things in there that we don't really want them to invite them in, and a lot of really boring things in there that also we don't really want them to see, like the catering bill for Summit and things like that really they don't need to see. So we tend to stay in touch with them over Skype and collaborate with them on there. So myself or my boss will come up with a wireframe for maybe the new homepage, sort of roughly what we need on it. Maybe we'll do a few sketches, just really simple things, and we throw them up into Alfresco Share. We have a marketing site in Share, which is actually a sort of synced copy of our marketing site on premise. We don't sync everything because, as I said before, there's a lot of that content we don't really want to go external. There's no relevance for it to be external. So we just sync discrete sort of folders, and one of them is the web project. And this is actually an example of a folder that we've synced. And this is being worked on. This is a page that was worked on by one of our designers. And so he's able to go in there. So first of all, we upload the wireframe so he can get working on it, and we tell him what assets we need on the page. We have a discussion on Skype what we're trying to do, and maybe do a quick sort of design brief for him. He's then able to see that, and he goes into Alfresco Share, reads it, and he's able to start work. He then normally comes up with like a few different variations for us. All of our pages sort of have a typical business owner. So here we've got one, and he's gone in and done like 3 different variations. So once he's done that, either myself, him, or my boss will email the business owner and the people that are important to get that project moving. And they can actually go into Alfresco in the Share and Alfresco in the cloud, or the on-premise one where it's synced back to. And they can sort of write comments on that document. They can vote them, they can like them. As you can see there, the bottom one was eventually put into production. And what that allows us to do, it doesn't tie us to a particular meeting time. So it's very difficult sort of meeting with people in San Mateo, Tokyo, and London, because there's never really a convenient time when all those people can be online together, maybe for one-offs, but not on a sort of weekly basis. So the business owners will come in and like their favorites. And as I said before, we're only syncing a sort of subset of our content with Alfresco in the cloud and sharing that externally. It's probably roughly about 20% of our marketing site gets synced. So the feedback's quickly read by the designer, and then if there's anything that needs to go in, they'll quickly amend it and put another, like it's normally a Photoshop file that goes up there. Once the business owner is happy with that and commented on that or communicated that with me, normally in the comments in Alfresco, I can sort of set to work and turn that page into a living, working page on the website. So that's the, it's changed ever so slightly since then, but that's the example of the new homepage we launched. So this is a really quick overview of the collaboration. Alfresco in the cloud's made it a lot easier for us to do that, because we can now bring external people in. The next thing I'm going to talk about is sort of where we were with the Alfresco in 2010. I've been there for 3 years, so I started sort of August 2010. And in 2010, we had 6 different web projects running in Alfresco. So we used the old AVM. I don't know how many people know that in this room, but it used to be built into Alfresco. It still is built into Alfresco. Alfresco are no longer updating that technology, but it's still supported. So we had, for each different language, we run 6 languages on the website. We had a different web project. So we've got English, French, German, Spanish, Italian, and Japanese. And we also had an internal version of Alfresco Share. So that worked well for us, and we ran like that for quite a few years, but these all have their own independent file systems. So the internal version of Alfresco Share, if people wanted to work on a file, so there's a press release, they would work in Alfresco Share, they would work on it locally, upload it to Alfresco Share, and just like this, upload it to Alfresco Share, then the web editor would get an email and it would tell them to upload it to alfresco.com. So it's a bit of a lengthy process. It worked, you know, it wasn't a broken process, it worked for us, but quite often, if you work in marketing departments, we always, you know, there's a lot of changes happen. It might be that the press agency maybe get a last-minute change, a typo, or there's an image that's got copyright on it, so you need to swap that out. So every time that happened, we'd have to go through this process of the original editor would edit the document, we'd upload it to Alfresco Share, be downloaded, and then be re-uploaded to alfresco.com. So, and also manual processes are always prone to human error. People go on holiday, people have late nights at conferences and forget to do things in the morning that they're supposed to. So we were trying to find a better way to do that. And I think I'm going to talk about the Alfresco Summit site, because I think that's probably the best realization of this collaboration that we've done so far. So how many people here have made use of that, being able to download the presentations on the website? It's good to see. Okay. So we looked at our own stack of software, and obviously we were using Alfresco, and that was working for us in terms of the collaboration of content in Alfresco and TS. And it was around the same time sort of cloud came out, so we were able to leverage that a bit. So we created an Alfresco Share site for each different website. So we've got one for .com, one for Summit, one for our partners website, and also one for the DevCon conference last year. I'm going to focus on the Summit one. And there's 3 pieces of technology in that stack. I'm not going to go into too much detail about them. We've got Alfresco in the cloud, which is our service available to everyone. We've got Drupal at that end, which is the Summit website, which you've all hopefully seen. And in the middle of that, we've got Alfresco on-premise. So we've got something like 130 sessions at Summit this year, spread over Barcelona and Boston. So there's even more speakers. So some of them are panel sessions, some of them have got 2 speakers like this one. And so there's an awful lot of information, notes, and things. So what we did is set an Alfresco in the Cloud site up, and we invited all of those speakers to come and join that Alfresco in the Cloud site. Firstly, to download the PowerPoint presentation. And secondly, we asked that they could upload their presentations once they're finished into a specifics folder that was named as part of the session. That cloud site was connected with an install of Alfresco on-premise. So as soon as they uploaded that, it would automatically, in the background, there's a cloud sync process that goes between the two. It takes sometimes 2 or 3 minutes max. And once it's on-premise, Drupal's using CMIS to be able to look up into the folder. It has a reference to that folder saved in it. So if I want to put some extra collateral into the folder for this talk, like some handouts or a PDF or something, I just throw it in the folder, and Drupal will automatically see that and display it on the page. The great thing about this is that it's, you know, once that sync's set up, nobody's got to do anything. So this is what the Summit speaker will see. They'll go into Alfresco in the cloud. They'll log in with the credentials. A lot of those people probably would have already had cloud accounts because they're speakers, so they're probably people that are pretty keen on Alfresco. So they upload their documents, and we get just a tiny little icon in the left-hand corner, and that tells you that it's syncing with another Alfresco install using Cloud Sync. And then this is an example of a web page on the site. It's a standard web page, pretty much. We've just got a title, some metadata, just to sort of, you know, room number, time. But that bit at the bottom, that's actually coming straight out of Alfresco using the CMIS connection. So that's pulling it from an Alfresco install. Just to sort of illustrate how they're mapped between each other, we've got the title at the top, and you can see that's the title in Alfresco Share. So if we update it in Alfresco Share in the cloud, the process kicks off in the background, it syncs with our on-premise version, and then the next time you load that page up, you will see that reflected in the view that you see on the website. So the greatest thing about this is that with, say, 130 people speaking, I know I'm sort of like, I try and have all the goodwill in the world and try and get things done really early and on time. And when it comes to the actual conference, I always want to make tweaks and edits to my presentations right up to the last minute. So today, for instance, I've been editing it again, and if I then if I then had to email it to someone to then upload it to a website, there would be some poor guy working for Alfresco now, just like in tears at the amount of presentations that have come in, because things tend to come in quite late. People spot errors, particularly people who presented in Barcelona last week might think I could tweak that a little bit. So this has been happening the whole time during the conference. People have been uploading documents, and it's really, it's really nice to see sort of Dries had uploaded his, Aaron's uploaded his. I think mine should be on there as well. I'm going to do a really short demo. I think it's like 3 minutes or something, just to show you how quickly this all happens and how sort of seamless it is. If I can just find my mouse pointer, that is. Okay. This is Alfresco in the cloud, which we should people know, and this is the session page. Aaron's been a really good speaker and uploaded his slides, so I did a quick screencast. I haven't uploaded my slides at this point, so I should be setting a really good example there, but sorry. So I'm going to go and do that now and sort of correct that. So I'm going to log in, and here's our speaker resources site. And you see a list of, Aaron's at the top there, a list of different speakers that have been invited and a member of that site. I'm going to go into the presentations folder. I go to Boston. I'm going to scroll down. And we've got the name and the web address of the session there, so there ready. Yeah, gone past it, there we go. So I'm going to click on that, and there's Aaron's presentation. He's already uploaded. I'm just going to add mine to that now. So just very quickly, select that from my desktop, upload it, and it's going to take quite a while. And I didn't do the demo live because the hotel Wi-Fi wasn't always great. Aaron was a bit braver than me. And as you can see, that's taken quite a while to upload. So it's just uploading to the cloud site. And as soon as it uploads, what's going to happen in the background is CloudSync's going to pick it up and see there's been a change, and it's going to invisibly sync that with the on-premise install. So hopefully next time I go and look at my session page in Drupal, we should see it updated. I'm just going to edit some metadata there. So we've got presentation title. PowerPoint puts that in automatically, so and then Alfresco pulls it out. So we just changed the title and the description, so it's a little bit more friendly for people. And again, any changes to this sort of get synced over to the on-premise install and then Drupal. We're not actually copying files into Drupal, it just does a lookup into Alfresco. We never copy the file down into Drupal locally. There we go, so that's been updated. And I just go and switch tabs now just to show you that on the website. I'm just going to refresh that. And there it is. We haven't got a thumbnail yet. It sort of can take 2 or 3 minutes to just generate that. So Alfresco generates little tiny thumbnails that you see in Share, and we also pull them into Drupal, so you can see them displayed just to make it a little bit nicer. If I click on that, it downloads locally and drops into my downloads, and I can view it locally. And that's really it. As I said, it's a really quick, really simple demo. And that's what, if you see something updated on the website today, people have been in there, they've updated the presentations, it's working pretty well. It's saved somebody from being just slammed with emails all week, so it's definitely saved someone quite a lot of time. And it just makes things all completely automated. There's not a human process there. Once that sync's set up and once that mapping's done in Drupal, we don't have to touch it again. We can go to the conference, enjoy ourselves, and we're happy that that's going to all happen in the background without us having to intervene. So that's it really, just it for sort of collaboration, just very quickly how we use cloud and on-premise, and then how we're sort of running the Summit site using cloud. It would, of course, have been possible with on-premise, but we would have had to invite all those people to our on-premise install of Alfresco, which people don't want more username and password, so a lot of people already have the cloud account, so it's much easier for them to use that and just be added to another site. So I think we've got a few minutes for questions. We've got 5 minutes for questions, so raise your hand if anyone's got any questions. There's also some maps, just some housekeeping I've asked to do. Maps for the pub crawl tonight, so if anyone wants to pick one up, there's 4 pubs sponsored by partners. So do we have any questions? Gentleman up front.
Yeah, what do you use as your front end for your website?
It's mostly just JSP, but
just give you.
Yep,
sorry.
I should have one too. So we're a Java shop, so JSP, but jQuery is our JavaScript library of choice. Starting to do more with Backbone, kind of like for the application, our JavaScript application. But all the presentation that you see is done in JSP. So really, as I mentioned, it's a web service. So we have custom Java tags that make the call to Alfresco and process that response and return a Java object. And then we use JSTL for basically to keep the Java code out of the JSP. But, yeah.
Anyone else? Could I ask a question?
Yeah, sure.
What do you use for the personalization on the website?
So for personalization, we actually have a personalization engine that I mentioned that's developed by a third-party company. And that takes basically some rules that the marketing department has defined. They say if a shopper does this or buys these products, the marketing, the control is in the marketing department's hands. But they feed these rules or policies into the personalization engine, and then there's just tracking that goes on as the users interact with the website. Okay. And then we will cookie these users. We have a cookie that is for personalization, and we will tag or cookie the users for one of the three groups. We have one that's undefined if we don't know yet, but otherwise we'll put you in one of the groups. Okay. We're just starting to experiment with personalization. We want to do a whole lot more. We want to have products show. Now we're just doing content. The content will change, or maybe the order will be different based on who we think you are, but ideally we want to maybe even show products differently.
Okay, great. Have we got one more question?
Yeah, the question was about your slice tool that you were using there on the front end. Can you tell me a little bit about just kind of like the technology stack there? It looks like you got a pretty unique homegrown solution there to solve the problem.
Sure. So this slice tool is actually our version 2 of our editing tool. When we first launched Alfresco, we realized some of these use cases or some of these things we need to provide to our users are really going to be hard in the share. So we looked at products like Rivet Logic, Crafter. It's a very nice web content management tool that sits on top of Alfresco, but it doesn't quite fit all of our use cases, the main one being the image maps. So the slice tool is our version 2. It's all web service based. So it calls the same web services that we use to, at least for getting the content. It calls that same web service that the JSP calls to get the content. So the technology's there. It's a JavaScript application written in Backbone. So it's like like they call it a one-page app, but it's just a JavaScript application that through Ajax calls the same web services. It deals specifically with JSON. The responses come from Alfresco in JSON. So we have our web scripts. We used to write our web script responses in FreeMarker, but nowadays we just kind of build that Java object, we build that structure in Java, and then just do a to.json on it. So we'll convert that object to JSON, put that on the response, and then this slice tool, the JavaScript, can interact with that JSON. It makes the modifications. Say you change the title, or you tag that image to be for women's apparel, or you drew the links. When you post it, it's actually posting the same JSON structure back, but with the modifications. So we have the code that takes that JSON and updates the properties. We deal directly with, through the web scripts, we're dealing mostly with the services registry or the services APIs that Alfresco provides. So we would deal with, I think the node service has methods for setting properties, and you just pass in the properties. So the technologies are JavaScript, Backbone. There's probably some CSS libraries that I'm not that familiar with what we use exactly, and then Java on the back end.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, we have a question.
How you're managing your product database? Like I have seen some customers having issues managing the product database as different departments in the organization is working on different products. So how do you manage that for your front end?
Yeah, so the products, we have a long way to go still for managing, having the relationship between the content and the actual products. Our products are still in Blue Martini, but we use Endeca as well for searching. So starts in Blue Martini, gets sent out to Endeca, and that's just mostly for the searching. But we have the content, we actually have an API that we have for third parties. And actually, as I mentioned, we just started another website, saxoffice.com, that's using the same Blue Martini on the back end, but we've encapsulated a lot of the functionality from Blue Martini into services. So we now, through the like the code that we write for the content, we can now call that same API to say if we're promoting a product that maybe just sold out. One rule we have at Saks is we're not allowed to show products we can't sell currently. So if something's not currently sellable, maybe it's out of stock or not, we're just not allowed to show it. So that should go for content too. You know, we may be promoting, even promoting specials. Say if you buy 2 of these items, you'll get a free bag. Well, they may have 3 colors of that bag, but now maybe one of those isn't available. They want that content to change and only show what's available. So we don't have this fully implemented yet, but what our goals are is to be able to call that API. When we're displaying the content or building the page, we should be able to call the API and say, hey, are these products available? And if not, have a secondary content to show. Not sure if that answers your question, but we don't plan to manage everything in one system, but just kind of like with the keynote from today, the guy who started Drupal, I think he had a great point with, don't try to have one system that can do everything, but really try to integrate the systems. Alfresco is great at managing content, but maybe not products. And same thing is like for personalization, it's not going to be the personalization engine, but we need to be able to integrate with all these other tools.
Okay, that's great. Thanks ever so much, Aaron.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.